Well, my goodness. Angel Reese has caught the attention of a lot of people over the last 10 days or so after the WNBA investigation was launched, after her antics, after a common take foul by Caitlin Clark onto her, after she shared out what looked like a very racist social media post out there talking about the white girls running from the fade, if I remember that correctly.
Has a rising WNBA star just ignited one of the biggest racial controversies in sports this year? And is a U.S. senator seriously demanding her arrest? What's really going on between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark? Let's break it down step by step. First, let's look at the key players at the center of this storm. By now, you've probably heard the names Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. But this situation goes beyond just two rookies clashing on the court. There's more at play here. A U.S. senator has weighed in, and now the entire WNBA is caught in the middle of one of the most heated cultural debates in sports today. Because this isn't simply about basketball. It runs much deeper. It's about identity, public perception, and the bigger question of who gets praised and who gets criticized. But before we go further into what's unfolding, let's get to know the main figures involved. The faces, voices, and sparks behind this controversy.
Talking about the white girl didn't want to stay and fight. Again, it seems like everything's got to be about race. I did a video earlier. Caitlin Clark is under attack for holding a mixed baby. We're in ugly times, folks. We are. That's racism on a whole different scale, different level. I use the term pure hate on my thumbnail. That's what that is. I mean, there's no way around it.
Let's begin with Angel Reese, because you can't talk about this story without mentioning her. If you haven't heard her name yet, you definitely will. She's not just a WNBA rookie, she's a rising star who made a name for herself at LSU, bringing home a national championship and an entire persona with it. Known as the Bayou Barbie, the nickname might sound playful, but there's real strength behind it. It's her way of saying, yes, I'm feminine, I wear lashes and nails, and I still dominate on the court. Got a problem with that? Her confidence is magnetic. Angel hits the court with a presence. You can see it in her posture, her expressions, and yes, her trash talk. It's all part of how she plays the game. Remember when she pointed to her championship ring and hit the "you can't see me" move after beating Iowa? That moment wasn't just a response, it became a cultural flashpoint. Millions watched, and just as many had something to say. And here's where things start to get complicated. Why is it that when Angel celebrates, she gets labeled as classless? Why is her passion seen as disrespect? We'll get into that, but keep that question in mind. Please don't forget to like and subscribe my channel for more awesome content. Thanks.
So, Angel Reese has caught a lot of people's attention, including this Indiana senator who is demanding Angel Reese issue an apology to the state of Indiana, Indiana Fever fans. Now, I've seen the media try to come out and say, well, Angel never accused anybody of blah, blah, blah. Well, Angel said at a press conference or at a media session, it looked like after practice, and was talking about how the WNBA had her back and this and that and the other. No, she had an opportunity right then and there to say, I never heard any racial slurs directed at me. I've never heard anything racist said towards me at an Indiana Fever game, and I do not believe the Indiana Fever fan base or Caitlin Clark fans to be racist. She had an opportunity. She decided not to do it. She didn't do it. She played along.
Now let's turn to Caitlin Clark. She's nothing short of a generational talent. Born and raised in Iowa, she's been dominating headlines since her college days. Her shooting range is wild. She'll pull up from the logo like it's second nature. And her court vision? Unbelievable. Think Steph Curry, but with a Midwest flair. But it's not just her game, it's her presence. Everywhere she plays, seats sell out. Fans show up hours early just to see her warm up. She's got the endorsements, the media coverage, and a massive fan base that sees her as the future of women's basketball. And to be clear, she's earned the attention, the talent, the hard work, the energy, It's all legit. But here's where things start to get tricky. Caitlyn has pulled the same "you can't see me" move on the court, and people loved it. They called her a savage. They praised her competitiveness, her fire. But when Angel Reese did the exact same thing, suddenly it was classless. It was disrespectful. Same gesture, same emotion, two completely different public reactions. Why? Because this story isn't just about basketball. It's about how society views these two women and what those views say about all of us. And just when you thought this was only a sports debate, enter politician.
So that's where you get the phrase, you coined the phrase Angel Smollett or Bubba Reese. That's the last two massive names involved with what was turned out to be a race hoax. That's some repugnant ass company to have put yourself in. A U.S. Senator representing Indiana wants Angel Reese to apologize after the WNBA revealed the results of its investigation involving the former LSU star. On Tuesday night, the WNBA announced it had concluded an investigation into allegations of a racist comment from a fan directed at Reese. Quote, "We have investigated a report of racist fan behavior in the vicinity of the court during the May 17, 2025 Chicago Sky at Indiana Fever game." The league statement read, "Based on the information gathered to date, including from relevant fans, team, and arena staff, as well as audio and video of the game, we have not substantiated it." By the way, fans were pounding the table that you weren't going to find anything. The league, and the Chicago Sky should have apologized to the entire Indiana Fever fan base and the state of Indiana. And any Caitlin Clark fans, any fans from around the country. Of course they haven't. Of course they didn't.
A Republican from Indiana, which just happens to be Caitlin Clark's home state. He recently called for disciplinary action against Angel Reese, claiming her actions showed poor sportsmanship and were unacceptable. Hold up, a sitting U.S. senator criticizing a rookie athlete for being too competitive? That's not just unusual, it's telling. This wasn't some random comment. It felt intentional. So the big question is, was this really about sportsmanship? Or was it something more, something political, something strategic? Maybe even racial or gendered? Because when politicians start weighing in on athlete rivalries, it's rarely just about the game. It's about optics, influence, and messaging. Now, let's talk about the league itself. The WNBA is in a totally new spotlight. Thanks to Angel and Caitlyn, there's more attention, more fans, more money, and a new level of energy the league has never seen before. But with all that buzz comes pressure. Both players are incredibly marketable, but in very different ways. And now the WNBA has to navigate that carefully. How do you support both stars without appearing to favor one? How do you highlight one player's success without downplaying the other's impact? Because at this point, it's not just about basketball. It's about branding, identity, and culture. And every move matters.
The announcement led to Senator Jim Banks, Republican of Indiana, publicly demanding a specific response to the news. Right here. Angel Reese owes Indiana fans an apology. Right there. It has not been reported who made the report to the league. Social media trolls. It was a BS made up lie to begin with. Last week, when it was reported the league was investigating the situation, both Reese and Fever guard Caitlin Clark applauded the decision, said there is no place for such behavior in the WNBA. It goes on to say how brave, stunning, and courageous her 500 points and 500 rebounds are to the beginning of her career.
Here's where things get really real. The public reaction to Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark has been dramatically different, and social media? It's been absolute chaos. Caitlin is often hailed as America's sweetheart, the golden girl of women's basketball. Meanwhile, Angel gets labeled as too loud, too confident, too much. Why is that? Let's be honest, racial bias plays a big role here. There's a long-standing pattern of confident black athletes being called arrogant, aggressive, or angry, while white athletes with the same fire are praised as passionate, competitive, or cool. Even the media reflects that double standard. Headlines describe the exact same behaviors in totally different ways depending on who's doing them. And fans? They've picked sides, loudly. This isn't just a sports rivalry anymore. It's a cultural battleground playing out on a basketball court. And it's unfair to both athletes, who are just doing what they love. But it's also very real, and very loud. So now that we know the players, Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark, and even Senator Jim Banks, it's time to ask the real question. What's this controversy actually about? Because if you're just reading the headlines, it might look like it's about a little trash talk during a game. But look closer. It's not just a rivalry. It's a culture war wrapped in jerseys.
So, here we are. I mean, congratulations. You caught the attention of a U.S. senator. I mean, unbelievable. Over what looks like a total hoax. You notice I never did a video on the grandmother that was in attendance in Indiana? That smelt like a blatant lie, too. It didn't pass the sniff test immediately. Why did it not pass the sniff test? Because people in the arena would have turned those people into security. And people in the arena would have caught audio and video on their phones because everybody has now got a device that will provide proof of anything these days. And if anybody thinks anything will go viral, they will record it. I mean, literally, the Hawk Tua girl went viral and made a small fortune real fast. Of course somebody would have caught it. So now the stench of this this is forever with Angel Reese now.
Let's rewind to the moment that reignited all the controversy, the trigger. It happened during a heated WNBA game in May 2025. Angel Reese, true to form, played with fire. She was animated, emotional, and fully in her element, passionate and unapologetically expressive. She had a brief back and forth with Caitlin Clark, including a stare down and maybe a few words exchanged. The cameras captured it all, and the clips blew up online. That's when things started to get complicated. Suddenly, people weren't just calling it trash talk, they were accusing Reese of fueling racial division. Not just being competitive, but allegedly promoting hate. And that's when Senator Jim Banks jumped in, again, this time accusing her of pushing a racially divisive narrative. He even went as far as suggesting there could be legal consequences. Wait, legal action? Over a moment of on-court emotion? That raises a serious question. What exactly did Angel Reese do or say that crossed a criminal line? Because from what we've seen, it looked like emotion, not a felony.
All right, forever. Just like I can still make a Bubba Wallace video right now, today, on Black and White Sports. It's going to get a serious amount of views stemming from July of 2020. That fire will never die. This stench will never come off of the Chicago sky forward from this point on, unfortunately. This is now tied to her basketball legacy, her celebrity legacy. It's officially there. Jussie Smollett is not known for being a star on the Empire television show any longer. He's known for making up a MAGA hoax. I mean, that's just what it is. That just is what it is now. That's the legacy that this is tied to. All right. Again, massive opportunity to have stomped out that narrative on the spot. Nope, played right along with it.
Let's pause for a second. Angel Reese has always been expressive. That's her style. It's part of her identity. She lets her game speak, but she also speaks with her gestures, pointing to her championship ring, throwing the "you can't see me" wave, locking eyes with opponents. And for a while, people loved it. Until she did it to Caitlin Clark. So was it hate? Or was it hype? Because let's not forget, Caitlin Clark has done the same things. She talks her talk, stares down opponents, and celebrates with just as much intensity. And when she does it, the crowd eats it up. She's called passionate, fearless, a born competitor. But when Angel does it, suddenly, it's a problem. Suddenly, she's labeled a thug, or worse. Why? That's the question we have to ask. Because words matter. And who we choose those words for, that matters even more.
Unbelievable. It really is. This is where we're at. I'm going to be honest. I look for other political figures to make statements on this. At some point, one of these days, there's going to be other people. I mean, there was a rapper that was at the game, and he come out and said, after they released this, he said, I never heard a single thing from any of those fans. He had to delete his post because he got attacked online.
This brings us to the bigger question. Are fans, and even politicians, mistaking a sports rivalry for racial aggression? Let's be real. Intense rivalries are nothing new. Larry Bird and Magic Johnson? Fiery. Serena and Sharapova? Full of tension. But no one accused them of inciting division. So why now? Is this really about Angel Reese being too much? Or is it about how uncomfortable people get when a confident black woman refuses to shrink herself? Think about it. If Caitlin Clark can celebrate, talk smack, and hype up the crowd, and be praised for it, shouldn't Angel be allowed the same freedom? Or is there an unspoken rule that swagger is only acceptable when it fits a certain mold? And we can't ignore the media's role here. After the game, what did most headlines focus on? Not the score. Not the gameplay. Not the strategy. They zeroed in on the stare-downs, the drama, the post-game quotes, some twisted, some taken out of context, all amplified into viral talking points. And the fans? They dove in immediately. Reddit threads, TikToks, Twitter wars, breaking down every glance, every gesture, every breath. But here's the danger. When you reduce a complex sports rivalry to just race, and then amplify that narrative without care, you don't get clarity, you get chaos. It spreads like wildfire. So ask yourself, is this controversy really because Angel Reese stepped out of line? Or is it because the line keeps shifting depending on who's standing on it? This isn't just about one moment or one matchup. It's about how we perceive confidence. It's about the double standards we apply, who gets called aggressive, and who gets called passionate. How a black woman's expression becomes a political flashpoint, while a white woman's becomes a branding opportunity. That's the tension burning beneath it all. And now that the spark has caught, everyone's choosing sides.